In Capital News tonight, illegal packaging of fertilizer has been discovered in a house in Njombe. A search operation is underway in Handeni District, Tanga region on impregnated schoolgirls. And in sports, Ngombe boxing team is continuing with training for the military games. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Carlos Banda. First, the national news. The government in Njombe region, in collaboration with citizens, have discovered a house that was being used to pack subsidized fertilizer into new bags before being sold to farmers. The incident was discovered by residents from the street where the house is located, who later informed the police on the criminal activity.
Na tumekuta nyumba hii haina umeme na kuna generator mbili, lakini pia kuna mashine kwa ajili ya kufunga mifuko hii ambayo inaitwa.
This house has no electricity but has 2 generators and machines for closing the fertilizer bags. We've also found fertilizer which was labeled NPK, which is not NPK, and other labeled urea, which is not urea, meaning that they are selling fertilizer that will not bring any impact to farmers. All shops of the trader must be kept under arrest and order the police force through regional task force to investigate the shops and the house of the trader. From steps that we are going to take, we shall get them and legal action will be taken against them.
Raia ambao wanasadikika sio wema walikuja katika mtaa wangu wakiwa wanashusha maroba ya ambaye ilisadikika.
Some malefactors came to my streets offloading bags that were alleged to be used for packaging fertilizer. Not only the bags, other equipments were also brought, including generators. After receiving the information immediately, I called Commissioner Mwepaja to handle the matter.
Na kujiridhisha, baada ya kujiridhisha, zikaendelea na taratibu zingine.
A day after the police force in Handeni District, Tanga region arrested 6 people allegedly for marrying off a standard 5 pupil, a search operation has started at Kwamagome and Chanika wards to look for other students who have dropped out of school after being pregnant.
Binti, ujambo mwanangu? Aliyekupa mimba ni nani? Hayupo hapa. Yuko wapi? Yuko Dodoma. Anafanya nini Dodoma? Ndio kwao huko Handeni. Wewe mlikutana wapi?
Alikuja kusoma.
Kusoma wapi? Handeni Sekondari. Kwao ni mwanafunzi.
Kashamaliza.
Kamaliza form gani? Form 4. Operation siku ya leo ambapo
in today's operation we have found 3 children who are pregnant. One child who threatened to commit suicide because he doesn't want to go to school. In today's operation, we have caught pregnant children, where we have arrested their parents, and the ones who pregnated the girls will be arrested and taken to court. Any parent whose child has been pregnated, please report the incident for the culprit to be arrested. This girl's child father is alcoholic. He's always drunk. We have never got a chance to sit down and discuss our child's matter. That is why I never took any measure to deal with it.
The principal judge of the High Court, Mustafa Siani, speaking at the inauguration of the Resident Magistrate Court building in Katavi region, has said that the ongoing improvements in the judiciary sector in the country, including constructing new buildings closer to people, aims to facilitate access to judiciary services.
Hii ni taasisi ya umma iliyokabidhiwa jukumu la kutoa huduma, na huduma kubwa inayotolewa na mahakama ni haki. Kwa uzinduzi wa mahakama hizi 3 za Katavi, Songwe na Lindi ni matokeo uwezeshwaji unaoendelea kufanywa na serikali pamoja na usimamizi wa utekelezaji wa mpango wa miaka 5 wa ujenzi na ukarabati wa miundombinu ya mahakama unaofanywa na watumishi wa mahakama.
Mahakama zinazotengenezwa hapa kwa kweli ni za viwango vikubwa sana. Huwa hawatembelei mahakama kuona majengo, lakini mimi nawakaribisheni mje siku moja mtembelee hapo. Kwa sababu tu kwa kweli mjiridhikie juu ya fedha zinazotolewa na serikali yetu.
Majengo haya yote yana sehemu za muhimu kama ambavyo umeziona mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi. Kuna kumbi mbili kubwa za wazi, lakini pia kuna ofisi za watumishi, lakini pia kuna ofisi za wadau mbalimbali ambao wanakuwepo humo ndani kwa ajili ya kutoa huduma za haki.
The President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan, has addressed investors, development stakeholders and various African leaders at the African Continental Free Trade Area meeting in Davos, Switzerland, that focused on improving cooperation between the public and private sector in production of goods in African countries. The meeting also discussed on how to reduce the cost of doing business and use of technology in bringing about rapid development on the African continent. President Samia Suluhu Hassan is in Davos, Switzerland to attend the World Economic Forum, whose theme this year is Cooperation in a Fragmented World. The Drugs Control and Enforcement Authority in Zanzibar has detained 3 suspects, including 2 police officers, allegedly for impersonating as officers of the authority and calling people to get money.
Taarifa kutoka kwenye chanzo chetu cha habari ndipo tulipoweka mtego.
A trap was set at Sogea area where the suspects were arrested while in the process of conning 2 youth who were given a case of illegal possession of drugs. Idi Juma was conned 600,000. Juma Ali Said was conned 810,000. Ahmed Mustafa Simba was conned 1,180,000. Khalid Yusuf Mzee was conned 200,000. Ibrahim Abdallah Amor was conned 320,000.
Mustafa Simba alitapeliwa $1,180,000.
Vice President Dr. Philip Mpango has directed all security organs in the country to search for and arrest anyone involved in sabotaging and stealing construction materials at strategic projects being implemented by the government, including the Standard Gauge Railway project. Dr. Mpango gave the directive in Shinyanga region when launching the 165-kilometer Tabora-Isaka SGR rail construction project.
Ninazo taarifa za changamoto kubwa ya wizi wa vifaa vya ujenzi.
I have information on the challenges of construction materials theft, especially fuel, steel and cement. Some of people involved in such activities are the untrustworthy workers, especially those employed by the contractor. I take this opportunity in calling on the police force to handle this matter carefully. All culprits must be taken to court.
Uwekezaji wa ujenzi wa reli kwa vipande vyote ni jumla ya shilingi trilioni 23.3.
A total of 3.3 trillion shillings will be used in construction of this rail. So far, all contractors have been paid 7.4 trillion shillings and work is going on well. Investments done by the government in constructing the modern train has a lot of impact to Tanzanians and East African community members in general.
Uturuki ni mpenzi wa maendeleo ya Tanzania. Uturuki ni rafiki wa Tanzania. Tunafurahi kuona maendeleo nchini Tanzania. Tunafurahi sana kuwa sehemu yake. Tunajivunia ya kumarkezi na SGR kama wa Tanzania. Samahani, Swahili changu ni dhaifu, lakini ninajifunza. Mungu bariki nchi zote mbili.
Kutoka Dar es Salaam mpaka Morogoro tuko 97.77. Kipande cha pili cha kutoka Morogoro hadi Makutupola tuko 91.79. Na hii ni kwa mpaka mwezi wa 12 tulipofikia. Lakini kipande cha tatu cha kutoka Makutupola hadi Tabora tuko 3.95. Na kipande hiki cha 4, Mheshimiwa Makamu wa Rais, ambao tutatuwekea juu ya msingi leo, tayari wakandarasi wako kwenye mobilization.
Tanzania Agricultural Research Institute, TARI Tengero Horticulture Center, has issued 4 free vegetable seeds to more than 400 small farmers from Shirimatunda village in Hai District, Kilimanjaro region, being part of a campaign to sensitize Tanzanians to recognize the importance of growing nutritious vegetables.
Lengo la kugawa mbegu hizi kwa wakulima.
The aim of giving out the seeds is to sensitize people in growing them and influence people in home vegetable gardening, activities that will boost health of their families from nutritious content in these vegetables and earn income.
Nachoweza kuambia wakulima wa Shirimatunda ambao leo
I'm calling on farmers to plant the 6 Amaranta varieties that they were given today and train others in the community. Because positive nutritious impacts that the seeds have, it is best that every Tanzanian gets access to eating vegetables that will contribute in good health of children, elders and pregnant women.
Sababu zile faida za mchicha tumepata bayana zinaleta lishe.
The Ministry of Health and the government of China have signed an agreement for the construction of buildings at the Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute in Mloganzila, Dar es Salaam, in order to improve medical services for patients with heart complications.
I wish to thank you personally, Councillor, but also through you, the government of the Republic of China, for this very crucial event of the signing of feasibility study investigations today, which now affirms the relationship that exists between our 2 countries. Dear Councillor, China has made a remarkable contribution to Tanzanians' health since the independence of this country. It has done so through many different ways. 1, in building infrastructure, 2, building systems, and 3, contributing in the capacity building of our human resource for health. And as we stand here at the Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute, this is one of the landmarks and a very good example of the Chinese-aided project which has contributed significantly to our people in Tanzania.
I believe the project, which will be implemented with the support of the government of the People's Republic of China, will become another landmark of China-Tanzania cooperation. And at the outset, on behalf of the Chinese Embassy, I hereby would like to thank you for the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Finance and Planning, GKCI and other relevant institutions for your continuous cooperation and support to make sure we eventually achieve the milestone progress on the project. I sincerely hope we can promote the project smoothly and take follow-up actions to complete the approval procedures of the project.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the national news. We'll take a short break and return for international stories. Welcome back, and now international news. President Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo has said the M23 rebel group has not fully withdrawn from areas seized in the country's east. Speaking during a panel session at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, President Tshisekedi said despite the international pressure, the group is still there. Regional leaders brokered an agreement in November 2022 under which the Tutsi-led group was meant to withdraw from recently seized positions by January 15 as part of the efforts to end a conflict that has displaced at least 450,000 people. Meanwhile, in Goma, residents have called for the removal of military forces from East Africa if they fail to overcome the M23 rebel group.
Is to call on our army to fight. we are not pleased with the situation. We're not causing any chaos. All that we do here is demonstrate peacefully for our grievances to be heard, but the police are dispersing us. Honestly, nobody is happy in this country.
Meanwhile, in Kenya, refugees from the Democratic Republic of Congo have called on the United Nations to repatriate them to their country. During a peaceful march at Karasani area in Nairobi, the refugees said peace in the country will only be achieved through talks between the conflicting parties.
Ndia Kenya mwaka wa 2009, so nimemaliza miaka karibu 14.
I am a refugee for almost 14 years now. I'm really tired. It's been too long to live in other people's country. We are calling on United Nations to put more emphasis and efforts in dialogues with our president.
Naomba Umoja wa Mataifa suluhisho kwa sababu
We're calling on United Nations to help us in restoring peace on our motherland. Our former colonialist Belgium should go and explain on how they divided the land before they left to us, so that people could live in peace.
Wafafanue, waonyeshe kwamba hawa watu ni Wakongomani, ilikuwa hivi, na wengine Wakongomani wakuwe sensitized.
Germany's Defense Minister Christine Lambrecht's resignation on Monday came at a time when the country will hold a NATO meeting on Friday to decide on the further military aid for Ukraine. A day after her resignation, Chancellor Olaf Scholz named Boris Pistorius as the new defense chief. For more on this, let's cross over to DW correspondent Thomas Sparrow. Thomas, what prompted the minister's resignation?
Essentially, Christine Lambrecht, the Minister of Defense, before she resigned, she had been strongly criticized here in Germany for her style of communication, but also by certain mistakes that had led members of the opposition here in Germany, also politicians close to the government, to question her leadership, and also, by the way, by some of Germany's allies that had questioned Germany's commitment towards Ukraine at this very important time. Christine Lambrecht had been criticized for a long time for Germany's support towards Ukraine, and in one of her latest mistakes, she also presented a video on New Year's Eve with fireworks behind her talking about the war in Ukraine, which prompted a lot of criticism here, but also many questions in the German media as to whether it was maybe time for Olaf Scholz, the German Chancellor, to let Lambrecht go. Lambrecht herself resigned this week, at the beginning of this week, stressing that the media attention on her own person actually didn't allow her to talk on a very objective way about the military in Germany and the current objectives that the military is going through. As such, this is a very important moment, a very important development for Germany. There is a new replacement for Christine Lambrecht. Boris Pistorius is the new defense minister, but the challenges that he will face are still very significant. The German military has been described as under-equipped and understaffed, and as such, it is going through a significant reform. And at the same time, the German Defense Ministry is the point of contact when it comes to coordinating with international allies what military equipment Ukraine gets at this important time.
How damaging is the crisis for German Chancellor Olaf Scholz?
It is certainly damaging, not only because Lambrecht and Scholz were seen as very close politicians, but also because it is putting a lot of questions on Scholz's capacity to really put a person in that position who can be important enough to carry out these issues that I've been mentioning. So how to coordinate with allies the assistance that Ukraine needs when it comes to military equipment, how to carry out these very big reforms in the German Bundeswehr, which is military that is seen as understaffed and under-equipped. So it is certainly a very important, very sensitive moment for Chancellor Scholz, and he will now have to demonstrate with Christine Lambrecht's replacement, with Boris Pistorius, that the German defense minister is no longer one of the government's weakest points, but that it can really perform at a very important time for the country.
Looking forward, what could NATO members and partners decide on Friday when they meet in Germany regarding assistance to Ukraine?
That meeting on Friday in the German airbase of Ramstein with NATO partners and NATO allies will focus on the next stage of military support for Ukraine, in particular the delivery of tanks. That is an important element that Ukraine has asked for. However, it is a very controversial issue here in Germany. German politicians, to a large extent, have been very careful when it comes to seeing German military equipment, and in particular German tanks, at a battlefield in Ukraine. However, there has been a lot of pressure from Germany's allies for Germany to not only deliver tanks if necessary, but also to allow tanks that are produced in Germany that are now in the hands of some of its allies. So all this will certainly be discussed at that very important meeting on Friday. Again, it's about the next stage in military support towards Ukraine coming from NATO partners and allies.
Well, Thomas, thank you so much for that update. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the international news. We'll take a short break and return for business stories. Welcome back, and now business news. Tanzania Ports Authority TPA has improved efficiency at the port of Dar es Salaam after installing new equipment for loading and offloading containers from ships that dock at the port.
Zimefungwa hizi mbili. Kandarasi anazimalizia kuzifunga. Kampuni moja inaitwa Riba. Uwekezaji huu unaenda nadhani zaidi ya bilioni 80. DDG, yes, bilioni 80. Zipo tatu. Moja imeshafungwa Mtwara, mbili zinafungwa bandari ya Dar es Salaam, na bado wataendelea kuleta nyingine kwa ajili ya eneo hili lote. Zaidi ya bilioni 200 na bilioni 80 zimeweza kununua mitambo ya kisasa ya kutoa makasha, na nyie mmeona. Kwa hiyo wameanza kutoa wao wenyewe kwa mitambo yao. Kwa hiyo kwa kutumia mitambo yao ile haijawapa shida kuja kutumia mitambo hii mingine ambayo wameikuta.
Tea farmers in Iringa have expressed concern on delayed payments from companies that buy their harvest, with the government assuring to oversee the buying auction expected to start soon.
Sasa kama tuna matatizo kwenye port, tutahangaika na matatizo ya wapi? Ya kwenye port.
If we have problems with the port, we shall deal with the port. While in the meantime, the journey should begin. I have asked the board to set auction budget. That will be included in the Ministry of Agriculture's budget. I don't want to see any farmer incurring costs at the auction.
Moja na kazi kubwa ambayo serikali imefanya chini ya uongozi wa Mheshimiwa Rais na kwa jitihada kubwa zako.
Despite good job that was done by the government under President Samia Suluhu Hassan in giving out fertilizer subsidies, which is enjoyed by people from south but not people from the north.
Strike mfumo ulipe ile hela serikali wanashindwa. Hizo hela tunaomba kwa kweli leo tutoe time frame ile na zenyewe zilipwe.
Traders from Komoro-Mtwara region have said lack of reliable marine transport is hindering trade between Tanzania and Komoro, with the government assuring that talks are underway on how to address the problem.
Tulishaanza mazungumzo na Hydro Marine Company ya usafirishaji.
We are already in talks with Hydro Marine Company, who recently have been going through operation crisis. Their base is in Dar es Salaam, but I have tried to convince them to introduce the base here.
Watu wanafanya biashara kutoka Komoro kwenda Dar na
These people are doing business from Komoro to Dar es Salaam. From Dar es Salaam, some traders transport cattle, who reaches here on the third day. Some cattle arrive while dead, causing traders to incur loss.
Meli inafanya siku kama siku tatu na nyombe zinafika pale nakuta nyombe zinakufa.
And that is the end of the business news. We'll take a short break and return for sports. Welcome back, and now sports news. The Ngome professional boxing team has continued with training for the military games expected to take place in Mtwara next month.
Tarajia kwamba ni chachu mojawapo ya kutaka kuwapa motisha vijana au mazoezi vijana kwa ajili ya maandalizi ya wale ambao wanaenda kwenye mashindano ya majeshi hivi karibuni na wale wengine ambao wataelekea hivi karibuni kwenye mashindano ya All African Games, mashindano ya Olympic na pamoja na mashindano ya tryout zingine ambazo tuko nazo mbele, mashindano ya dunia ambayo tunatarajia yatafanyika ndani ya mwaka huu 2023.
Ambao tuko hapa Tanzania ni wa manufaa kwetu kwa sababu tuko pia na vijana chipukizi ambao pia wanajiandaa kwa mchezo ambao utakuwa kule Tunisia. Kwa hivyo itakuwa pia ni kama maandalizi yetu ya mchezo huu ambao utakuwa kule Tunisia wa Anoka.
Ihefu FC has signed midfielder Victor Akpan from Simba until the end of the season.
Akpan has failed to shine at the Msimbazi club in the few games he has played in, and he has been loaned to Ihefu until the end of the season. He's the second Simba signing sent to Ihefu on loan this January transfer window after Emmanuel Okwa. The two players were signed by Simba this season, but they have failed to shine in the star-studded squad.
The Football Federation, TFF, will press charges against Gwambina owner Alexander Mnyeti following his allegations against the Federation of being associated with bribes. Here is more.
In a recent interview, Gwambina owner Alexander Mnyeti accused the Football Federation of unfair banning of their home ground in Misungwi, saying their ground is in good standard, but TFF just decided to ban it. Mr. Mnyeri went farther as to claim he was once asked for a 5 million shillings bribe by the Federation representatives for his home ground to be used again, but he refused. In their statement, TFF have refuted all those claims, insisting they are going to press charges against both the Gwambina owner and the respective media that aired his interview without balancing the story.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin for tonight. Thank you for watching and good night.